but there's different sections now. So the top one here is the PT feeder section. Now these are settings that are specific to PT feeder only. Right, so they don't get translated directly into any PT property section.
Oh, yeah.
So all of these were previously, they were just in the general section, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So you kind of needed to know what everything is. So each of these sections is supposed to give an idea of what they actually are. So, for example, one of the biggest, I guess, confusions that people had with the min-max trailing buy and trailing profit, they are actually internal PTF settings, right? Because there's no such thing as max trailing profit on PT. And what that's used for is when you let PTF calculate the best trailing profit or trailing buy that it thinks based on the volatility of the coin. These are the boundaries that it can work in. Right.
Okay.
So if it calculates something that's like 0.6, it will be capped at 0.5 for trailing profit. Or if it goes and works it out as 0.0005, it will automatically just set it to 0.01. Because these are those boundaries.
I'm gonna put it to.
So hidden coins is hidden coins. Excluded coins is coins that there's no config generated for, so it will display them as watch mode on PTF. SOM only is things that you only want sell only. The 2 minutes trend measurement windows and top currencies.
If you doubled both of these numbers and you doubled this, what do you think would happen? What have you found has happened?
In terms of
all three of these, so
in terms of the trading,
so you're increasing the trend measurement.
So it's probably creating a more accurate representation of what's actually happened over a short and a long period of time.
Sure.
I generally have it set to exactly what it is there, 2 hours for the short term, because I don't want to react on any kind of false positives, but then I don't want to wait too long before reacting to something. Right. So I find that kind of 2 hours is pretty decent. Even 1 hour is okay. But having it too short might mean that you're getting kind of false positives.
Sure. So you just get more trades but better trades.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the other side, you get quality trades but less of them. Great.
Yep. And then top currencies to check. You know, that's just kind of like your view of what the market is like. So if you increase that, you know, you're just including more shit coins in your average.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I saw somebody had theirs on 60 as well, or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Right.
So I personally don't think there's any, you know, there's no need to have it too big. If you want a true representation of, and I can talk about this now while we're on this point. So there's a new parameter in PT version 1.5, PTF version 1.5 called VWAP. So I calculate the volume weighted average price for something that you can change your market conditions based on. Right, so what that does, it will give things like the movement, the price movement of ETH or Litecoin a much stronger weighting than something like, I don't know, CFI or whatever.
Yeah, let's have a look at it on Trading View. Oh, I'm just going to remove... is that it? Okay.
That's it, yeah.
All
right, so that's the volume weighted price for this particular coin, so core, right? So I work out the VWAP for all the coins that are included in your settings, right? So it doesn't look at the top currencies to check in your app settings, it's everything. So everything that, but excluding anything that's on your SOM list or your hidden list or your excluded list.
I see. How closely related is it to on-balance volume?
To some degree,
Okay.
to kind of some degree. Like, I've been testing around with it, and obviously the volume differences in the coins really drops off after like the third or fourth top volume coin, right? So you'll have like your Ethereum, your whatever it is, Bitcoin Cash, maybe Litecoin, right, will have quite high volume. As soon as you get to the fifth, right, it drops off massively, right? So what I have found with the VWAP trend change that's in PTF is that really what you're doing is measuring the movement of those top kind of coins as a measurement of what the market is doing, because the lower coins are just comparable to volume, they're just nothing. So it's an interesting one. I think it still needs a little bit of testing.
So
we use it a fair whack, like kind of in the banks, because you're gathering, you're gathering liquidity from multiple sources, and you kind of want to know, okay, you know, there's this really good price, but what is the volume available at that price? And this kind of takes it into consideration. So the common section, right, and I kind of put the comment there, is that these are all PT properties that don't have, and in PT version 2 it's default at the start. In PT version 1 it was all, so it was always all underscore this, right? So these were your kind of default properties, but there's certain properties that don't have that, so it's kind of like a generic property. So keep balance percentage, start balance, for example, all the indicators, they don't have default in front of them, so this is what your common section is. In PTF, the next version of PTF, I've got rid of the use percentage in your host settings, because it was a little bit confusing, because you needed to know what was in that other file depending on what you're setting here. So if you want to use percentage, then you have to have keep balance as 0 and then keep balance percentage in this file. If you don't want to use percentage, then you just remove the percentage line.
This is this in PT2?
Yep.
2.0? Okay,
Yeah,
I've noticed it.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed that.
It's actually interesting. Is one thing that, you know, I was speaking to Elroy about, is that previously he was using what in FX is called a top of book, which is like the best price. So whenever you saw like a profit percentage on your DCA tab, which is about to trigger, you might not actually get that, because the top of book is probably very, very thin volume, right? So if you're trying to sell 1 Bitcoin's worth, but that price that is shown top of book is only 0.1, right? Then that profit percentage that's shown is actually inaccurate, because it's not really what you're going to get. So in PT version 2, Elroy is now looking at the entire order book to show you that profit. So it should be a little bit closer to what you will get. And hopefully avoid, you know, questions like, you know, oh, this was showing 5% profit, how come I only got 1%? Kind of thing.
Okay, well, these three are fairly self-explanatory.
So another thing about PTF, the next version, is the text files are gone, and everything is in this one app settings file now. Right, so you don't have to worry about like setting things in the different market conditions folders, the common folder, and it's all kind of naming convention based. So what happens is it gets split based on case change. Right, so you'll see at the top in indicators, the first word, the prefix is indicators, to say that this needs to go in the indicator file. Right, if it's got DCA at the start, it says that needs to go in the DCA file. If it's got nothing at the start, then it will go into the pairs file. And then it will just get split. So that top one, for example, says indicators BB STD. Right, so that will go into the indicators file, and it will be BB underscore STD.
I see.
Right, so you can have any property that's in PT just following that naming convention, and PTF will then like copy it over.
Interesting. Interesting. Is that in PT 2.0?
Yep.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that, but alright.
And then the next section used to be called defaults, general, now it's called defaults, because that's what it is, it's the defaults. So these are all the things that when translated over to the pairs or the DCA file will start with default underscore. And again, split by case, so that top one will be default underscore initial underscore cost.
Yeah. And obviously this is the new format for PT 2.0. So this is all the same. DCNA. I'm not going to go through and change all of these yet. I'll do it later on. But let's go through this.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, all the same things. I have to know, I missed that one in the beta 2.0 as well, but I knew there was a
take
profit percentage, yeah.
And then after that, now obviously in PT2 we've got DCA, pair specific DCA, so we can put that all in here now as well.
Okay, now
so this is a really basic kind of file, but the best way to kind of, I guess, think of PTF is like, it's literally just if this, then do that, right? And each section is, so at the top you have this word, right? So this is saying I'm looking at the market conditions, and this is my kind of groupings for it. PTF checks things sequentially, so it will check the first one, then the second one, then the third one. If any of those are true, it will stop and it will say that I am just going to apply this. So what this is saying in the top one is that, and then just to go backtrack, the first thing is what kind of referred to as the trigger, or it's the condition, right? So that is saying if the maximum top coins have changed on average of -5, right? So if it's anything under -5, then this will evaluate to true. And then I'm just saying, you know, reduce my stop loss by 100%. Right, so that's the offset, and I'm reducing by 100%. And that's every single section is like that. So this is price trend change.
Yeah, cause actually I didn't realise you could offset the stop loss.
So,
could you in the old version?
No. So
yeah, all right. Yeah,
this,
that's a new feature. Yeah,
right. So in PTF, this new version of PTF, you can add offset onto any of the properties that are in your default section.
Wow.
Right. So
Jesus.
You can offset anything, but you can also actually I'll explain overrides later. But just kind of go through the kind of basics of how this is structured.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So from -10 to -5, if it's -100.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, -100% will go to 0. Right.
Oh,
so
right,
whatever,
right,
because
yeah.
it's 100% of the
Okay,
default.
sure.
So
Yeah,
whatever
okay.
the default is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so obviously it's because there's no folders in the new one. So if I was going to sort of say create, I don't know,
another one. Yeah.
Okay. So let's call it Little Bear.
Yeah.
Little Bear.
So this is the kind of same thing again in the fact that you have your trigger. The grouping name says that you are acting on price trend. And so you're saying if the maximum price has changed -10%, that actually I don't want to do anything. This is in there because it goes back to that fact that we check sequentially, right? So if it's if it's under -10, then I don't want to do anything. If it's in between -5 and -10, then I want to reduce my buy value. And I guess the thinking of that was that if it's dipped -10, I don't mind buying it, right? Because it's already gone down, right? If it's gone down -5, then I was like, you know what? I'd rather wait for it to dip a little bit more if possible. But again, it's if this, then that. So if the price has done this, then go and offset this.
Yeah.
Go and reduce my buy value by 100%. Go and reduce my buy limit by this much, and so forth. Naming convention is the same, so it's the same name as what was in your default section, and you add offset at the end.
Oh, accidentally deleted the wrong thing there. This is per coin.
This is per coin, yeah.
That's
so
what I thought, yeah.
actually, that's a really good point. Yeah. The only two things in PTF that work on every single coin is your market condition. So any offsets that you add in your market condition affect every single coin, and your exchange grouping, right? To say if this coin is on this exchange, then that affects every single coin. Every other grouping is actually coin specific. Yeah. So this is the price change for that particular coin, and it will only apply to a coin that has dropped minus 10% or minus 5%, whatever you have in your config.
Yeah. Yes, this was it, because I remember a couple of people were asking me this before as well, and I wasn't sure.
Massive one?
Yeah. So this big number, what's that all about?
So it's a catch-all, right? So if you just take this one out, the one that you just put in, and then I'll just show you on the bottom one. Right, so we are saying, right, if the price is, scroll up a little bit, there you go. So if the price is in between -5 and 5, right, then I'm not doing anything, right, because it's a maximum, right? So the second one there, I'm saying is if the price change is under -5, then I'm going to apply these 4 offsets, right? Then I'm checking the next one and saying that if the price change is under 5%, right, then I'm going to do nothing, right? Now, if I didn't have that enormous one, then no offsets would apply. Okay. But I want offsets to apply on something that's changed 6%, 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%. Right? So the next one is saying is that if the price has changed less than whatever it is, 100,000%, then apply these offsets. Right? So say the price has changed 7%, right? It's 7% is less than 100,000%, so it will apply those offsets.
Okay.
Right.
So basically, you're saying the final one. So the final group is basically that sort of sets the upper limit. Is that
it's
what
the
you
upper
mean?
limit? Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a catch-all. So if that wasn't there, right? If that last one wasn't there, right, and the price had changed 7%, right, I would go to that second one there and say, is 7% less than -5%? No, it's not. Right. So I'll move on to the next one. Is 7% less than 5%? No, it's not. Then if that last one wasn't there, then it wouldn't do anything. Okay. But because that last one's there, it's going to do those things.
Yeah. It's kind of a lid almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. I get it. Yep. Yeah. Because that was one that definitely confused me. A few of the people have to say.
That's anyway, what it is. It's just to say that it's like a catch-all.
Okay. Right.
Right. So this is something that both PT and PTF have added in. Whether one of them could have avoided it, it's fine. But it's basically on the coin age, right? To say that if the coin age is less than 60 days that you just put there, don't do anything. Sell only mode. Time unit can be days, hours, seconds, milliseconds. Exchange grouping. So this is if you're using PTF to drive 2 different exchanges. So if you've got a BTC bot on Binance and a BTC bot on Bittrex, you can use PTF to run both, but you might have a different min buy volume. Obviously volumes are different, so I'm basically saying actually change my min buy volume on Bittrex to be 70% under this. And overrides I will actually show you on a different config file, because that's something new.
Candle size grouping.
Yeah. So then there's lots of other groupings, which is probably better off just going on the wiki to explain them, and I probably will refresh the wiki a little bit anyway. But it's the same kind of idea, right? So it's saying I'm looking at the average candle size for this coin. In this particular case, I'm saying that if the candle doesn't move more than 0.2%, then I don't actually want to get involved in that coin because there's not enough volatility there for me to make trades, right?
Yeah.
So that's what the idea there was. Ideally, you want large candles, because that means that there's.
Can you set a minimum as well?
No, no. So these are actually fixed, either max or min.
Okay, right.
the way that you'd have to do the minimum is you'd have to set up like the 1000% kind
Right.
of thing that you did, and then the next one
Okay.
you could say do your offsets on the 1000. So for example on this one, like you want to say only act on candles that are less than 0.2%, you mean?
Yeah, well, either that or or only act on candles that are at least X% or something. No, is that
Yeah,
this is,
so that's
this
what
is,
kind
this
of that's
is what
doing,
we're
yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, so that's basically saying that anything under 0.02% don't do anything. Anything
Okay, right.
over, then I'm
Right.
just going to, I'm not going to do anything. So it's
Sure.
just standard config.
Okay, all right.
And downside volatility. So this is the an average of the open to low on every single candle, right? And it's I guess it's another way of showing what the kind of trend is of that coin, right? So if the downside volatility is large, right? So for this case, it's like more than if the price drops more than 1.5% every single candle, right? Then my thinking behind this was that the price is actually dropping a lot every single time. So what's the likelihood of a little spike for me to make a profit, right? Given that you have limited budget, you have a limited max trading pairs, right? I would rather my, initial cost, max cost, to be put on a coin that is more likely to make me profit rather than something that isn't, right? So with downside volatility, my thinking was that each candle is generally a large red candle, not necessarily a red candle, but it goes down a lot. The bottom wick is quite high, so I don't really want to get involved in that because what's saying that it's going to pop back up again, or big bottom wick, I guess is the best way to kind of describe it.
Yeah. Okay. So as a case study, let's say if we were to change this to 0.5, what do you think would happen?
I think in that case, you would max change from open, right? So you would trade less coins, right? Because you are
and you're picking some stabler coins.
You're picking stabler coins that don't move down as much on every single candle.
Yeah, I see. So if you're hardcore,
you would increase it. Yeah.
I'll leave on default for the moment.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Okay, so and then we'll look at the other version as well.
Just pop in the other one.
Which one? Oh yeah, of course. I
just downloaded it. We called it.
This one isn't safe.
I think it was safe.
Right.
Yeah. So if you kind of scroll down a little bit, I think what I wanted to show you was the override section. So I think it's in this one. Yeah, there you go. So for example. So in a super bear market, in this particular config, right, not only am I offsetting everything, I am then saying actually change my C buy strategy to EMA spread and change my buy value to minus 0.5, right? So this is not offsetting, this is changing, it's overriding. You can override, so previous versions, you could only override the buy strategy, and it was called buy strategy. In this version, you can override any property.
Wow.
Right? Offsets apply after the override, so what happens, I guess, logically in the code, is that I will scan this app settings, find the one where the weight is the highest, right? So in this case, say for example, for the buy strategy or C buy strategy, this is the highest weight. I will change the EMA spread to that. I will change the buy value to minus 0.55. Then I would apply any offsets on top of that, right? Because you still might want your price change offset or your volume offset or whatever other offsets that you've got. But it's in this, you can then change your DCA triggers, for example. Right? If you want different DCA triggers for each market condition, you can do that here. So like here in bear, for example, right, I am changing my buy strategy to low BB. I'm changing my max buy time to 20, you know, like changing my triggers slightly. So this is where you can do that, where maybe, you know, you don't want to work with offsets because it's not additive. Like, you actually just want to say, you know what, when it's bear, change my strategy to this, or change my buy value to this.
I see.
And again, like any default property can be changed here.
Yeah. I should just go back slightly. So the I was just curious about this. I can't remember what you had. What you had
the
default on. Yeah. Tell me about this number. -2 for Super Bear.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of an example, right? So that's basically saying that for all the coins that I have that I can trade on, right? So take away anything that's under my mid and buy volume, take away anything that's in my excluded list, take away anything that's on my SOM list, right? So it's all the coins that I can actually trade on, right? I am basically taking the volume of that coin, right? Kind of multiplying that by the price, right? So something like F will have a larger volume, right? And I'll look at the price change of that, right? And then say, okay, this one's got a large volume, multiply that by the volume, do that for every single coin, right? And then divide that by the volume to give me a volume weighted average price. Right? So this, it's a shame that like I can't really show you on that, but if I show you, I'm just showing Steve on my phone here, for example, right? So my latest notification on PTF is saying that the top coins have in the 720-minute trend, the top coin average is 4.6. Right? This is giving every single coin an equal weighting, right? So a coin with really low volume that has dropped 10% has the same weighting as something like F that might have dropped 2% or whatever, right? So the average top coin trends is 4.61%, but the VWAP over the same period is 1.51. So what that's kind of telling me is that like the top coins have gone up by 4.61, but it's actually saying that the top volume coins, so like your Fs and your Litecoins and your Ripples maybe, haven't actually gone up that much, right? Because there's a difference there. It's 4.61 for an average, and it's 1.51 for a volume weighted average.
I see.
Yeah. So conceptually, how would you use this? And I guess it's your view on like how you want to use PTF. So there's reacting to the market, right? Now, a VWAP, in my opinion, is a better view of what the market is doing, right? Because if the top coins are doing well, it generally means that the market's doing well, right? Like, if the shit coins are doing good or bad, it doesn't really necessarily tell you a lot about the market. It's really about the top volume coins, about what the market's doing. But there's obviously the other kind of viewpoint that actually the market conditions might not necessarily be the best way to use PTF, because even in a bad market condition, you could have a coin that does really well. Right. So if you look back at that other kind of app settings that I had, that was under that viewpoint, is that I'm actually not doing a huge amount in the market conditions. All my offsets and my overrides are very coin specific, and the thinking there being that even in a bad market, I still want to trade on a coin that's doing good in a bad market.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have a look at it on TradingView again to see. Because I'm gonna unmerge it and move it down basically. And then see what numbers it gives us. Right, so VWAP. See, the numbers they're given here are obviously expressed in a different way.
Yeah, so that would be the VWAP for that particular coin. So I'm working this out for every single coin, and then giving you an average, right? This is just the VWAP for BTC.
Let's have a look at the awful core again.
You love it, don't you?
I used to trade on it every now and again, but I think this has got to be one of the what do you call it? The epiphany of a shitcoin, I think. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Core, if you're watching this. Anyway, so see this.
So it's quite high, right?
Yeah. Well, this number's much smaller than the BTC one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Much smaller, right?
All right. Yeah.
And you don't want that to have an impact on your market, right?
Yeah.
Because and it's kind of like, you know, some people like to look at BTC price train, just BTC, to see what the market's doing. And this was it's added to say, okay, you might just want to look at the top coins to see how they're doing.
Oh, that's weird. The number's not showing. I don't know why. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Right.
So yeah, kind of going back to that other thought again, is that so you have a config like this, which is very strong on, I want to change my config based on what the market is doing. And then if you flick back to the other one, that one, this is very much around, I actually want the coins specific stuff. So there's a lot more there on price trend change, but in market conditions there's not a lot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of two trails of thought. I'm not sure what your thoughts are
on
that, but like...
No, I'm fascinated. I mean, obviously I'll have to sort of look at them both carefully and compare them.
Yeah. But it's like, would you prefer to act on every single coin individually? So even if even in a bad market, if a coin is doing well, then you want your PT to trade on that? Or would you just, if the market's doing bad, you just want to put the brakes on because you don't actually know what's going to be happening? You're more risk averse. And you're just like, oh crap, you know, market's doing crap, put the brakes on, I don't want any bags.
Yeah.
Probably usually around 4 o'clock. So I don't know if we're going to watch now, not mad doing it now. Yeah, normally they come here about 4 or 5 o'clock.
So now, is it sort of an either-or situation?
It's an or.
Okay.
Right, so if there was another one there, so if there was a, let's just do max top coin average change, for example, then it's a or. So if the VWAP is this or this max top coin is this, then it's there.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Deborah. Hi, Deborah. And you? I just wanted to find out let me try my
Yeah. You would do something like that, right? Because your top coins, just missed a comma, but whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, you would do something like that because your top coins are probably going to be less volatile than your top coins, all your top coins.
Weights. That was one of the ones I wasn't quite sure about.
So, say for example, if you had... Right, so you're saying here in this case, you're saying that I want to override everything into a bear condition. I want to do this, but then later on, you might also say, and actually, if the volume is less than 1,500, then I also want to do this. Right, then, and if you had something different here, so say for example you wanted to change your buy strategy here to, I don't know, like EMA gain, for example, right? Now, how does PTF know which one to use? Right, because now you've got, say you've got a coin that is 1,000 BTC in volume in a bear market. Do I use low BB or do I use EMA gain? Right, because you've got two matching conditions. Right, so what the weight is saying is that actually I want this to have a higher priority than the market condition. Right, okay. So what I would say, if I definitely want it to be EMA gain, for example, right, I would give this a higher weighting than the market condition, which was 50.
Okay, yeah. Let me just have a look at the two groups to compare them. Right. So that's what 50. 50. So those two are equal.
They're all 50.
Okay,
all the market conditions are the same,
right,
because you can only be in one market condition at any one point.
Okay.
So you can't be in like a bear and a super bear. So that's never going to clash.
Right.
You're never going to get a clash between super bear and bear.
What do you mean? Or?
Yeah. So what? Like maybe it's clearer if I do. If I had done. If I remove that. I'll remove this. Right. And. Okay, this is fine, right? So, what I'm saying is, in a where did it go? In a bear market, right? I want to say my low BB. I want to use low BB as my buy strategy, right? But then I'm also saying later on in that config that is, if the volume is less than 1,500, I want my buy strategy to be EMA gain.
Right, okay.
Right, but I've got a clash there because if it's a bear market and the volume of the coin is less than 1,500, I don't know, PTF doesn't know which buy strategy it should use.
Right.
Because I've overridden it in 2 places.
Okay.
And both those conditions are true.
Okay.
The condition 1 is that it's a bear market, and condition 2 is that the volume is less than 1,500.
Yeah.
Right. So, in that case, it could either be low BB or it could be EMA gain. So you need to tell PTF to say, actually, the volume override has a higher weighting.
I see.
Or the market condition weighting, market condition override has a higher weighting.
I see. Oh, very clever.
Or, you know, price grouping might have it, or somewhere else. So if you've overridden it in 3 different places, for example, you might have SMA squared, EMA gain, low BB, and they, whichever condition that you use them in, they all evaluate to true. And then, you need to let us know that actually my preference is EMA gain, so I'm going to give this a weighting of like 100 or whatever that is. It's not a percentage, it's just an arbitrary number. You could use 1, 2, 3, 4 if you wanted to. Whatever's clearer.
Okay, yep. So, price grouping.
Yeah, basically saying there, if the Santoshi shitcoins, I don't want to spend as much.
Yeah, logical.
Volume group I just added in there, that's just a test, so you can undo that. This was another idea that I had, kind of needed to test, is that if the volume is big, right, so if it's above 5,000, things like your ETH, your whatever it is, you know, your Litecoins, your Ripples, whatever, then actually I want to use low BB at quite a, you know, a 10, right? Even though it might be a little bit risky, I might even change that to 25 actually, because if I end up with an ETH bag, I'm actually not that bothered. Right? Right. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should try and use a bit more of a riskier strategy for something that's higher volume.
Well, as you saw in my config, I'm mixing the high BB now, high BB 50, you know, and it seems to be working fine so far, you know. So
and it's kind of similar things here.
Sure.
With kind of price change, I was just saying, you know what, like let's mess around with some of the buy. Let's mess around with some of the buy strategies.
Okay, right, because the first sort of the first person whose settings I saw who was sort of taking advantage of some of these sort of things before was Mike Blitz's. You know, he's the only sort of user, you know, apart from I guess staff or whatever, like I've ever seen, you know, actually sort of tried some of the stuff. And obviously I was really impressed because I you know, to be honest, I didn't know how to put it together either, you know. So difference grouping. Okay, this is I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, so that's another kind of thing. Is that it's measuring the difference between the up wick and the down wick, and which one's bigger. Right. So I'm basically saying that if the down, and it's kind of similar to using downside volatility, which is not actually in this one, in this config, because you don't want to have too much, because you just grind any trading to a halt. But this one is basically saying that if the down wick is much bigger than the up wick, then stick it in sell only mode. Because actually I think it might have been this one or the downside one that it was actually Blitz's idea. It works quite well.
Alright, so okay, so if you if this was if that was a positive number,
Yeah.
well, okay, so you see that,
Yeah.
yeah, alright, okay, yes, so sell value office, yeah, okay, so sell, increase the sell,
Yeah, increase the sell number and
yeah.
buy it a bit more quicker.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh okay, yeah, very very clever, yeah, because that was the thing because he's got this that thing with the high BB where he sort of does something like that, where he switches sort of if. I can't remember what exactly it was. If something, high BB.
Yeah, he changes his
whatever.
sell strategy, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
Based on what the wick sizes are doing.
Yeah, definitely. Because again, I know he's done a lot of research into this. Because he had. Did he send you that spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, I didn't completely understand it.
Yeah.
I probably need to explain it again. Oh, okay. But wow. Jesus.
Yeah, so there's a lot there, and I can really understand. I guess I understand the struggle of the learning curve, especially because it's it's a JSON file. I would admit the wiki's probably not as great as it should be, but it is something that we will keep working on and improving as it goes by. But
yeah,
and obviously there will be a UI at some point.
Yeah.